What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube modeling community? This is Hooterville75 coming with a opening video after a what seems to be forever absence. I'm talking probably close to a year or a little after, but I'm back now. It's great to be back. I'm going to be looking at my little notes that I made because I got a lot to talk about in a little short time to get there. We know how Colonel Reb, Tommy from Colonel Reb, likes to watch videos longer than 10 minutes, so I'm going to try to keep it around 10 minutes, but it's been a long time and I'm finally getting to where I'm comfortable again due to everything that happened, where I'm going to get back to the bench now. So basically, you know, a lot's happened in the last year and a half for me. Two pretty much life-altering situations happened for me. I had the separation of 17 years from my better half. You know, things were rocky for years. I was always in the model shop. You know, I just didn't care anymore. I spent hardly zero time inside, constant fighting. Kind of turned a blind eye to the fighting and just stayed in the model shop all the time, and she basically grew tired of it, I guess, and finally, you know, pulled the plug. I mentioned going to relationship counseling and she didn't want anything to do with that, so I myself went, because one time my daughter Alexis, my youngest, her boyfriend Nate said, you know, Alexis is starting to struggle a little bit with you guys fighting all the time, and that's when I mentioned counseling. And the counselor in the end told me that staying for the wrong reasons, constantly fighting, is hurting Alexis, my youngest daughter, who's the only one at home yet, more than if I would just pull the plug and leave. She said, you need to dissolve the relationship. So that's basically what I did. I went home and told the better half what was going on, what the counselor said, and I think it's time we pull the plug, and she basically agreed. So my daughter and her went and got an apartment, well, a half house in town about 5 minutes from me. So that led to being a single father, you know, always running with the little one's athletic events. She's a D1 softball recruit. She's only a junior in high school. So we're constantly doing travel ball, high school, you know, everything softball. And with her mom working second shift, I never missed an event to always have parent support there for her. You know, there was events that were way far that I may not have went to originally, but due to the fact that her mom was always working, I felt we had to have one parent there, so I went to everything. It just sucked that basically I was doing everything with very little help, and it got to the point where, how do I say it, it led to more problems, because being a single parent, everything I would say, her mom would override, and basically it left her play us both that she basically got a free-for-all and had no structure. So it just got very frustrating. So we split. I started getting on. I'm thinking, you know, why don't you just move your shop inside now? You know, because everywhere I've been, my shop's been outside basically. I was downstairs where it was moist, damp, tons of water. That's where I got the swamp pit from. Then I moved upstairs to do a screened-in porch where it was basically boarded up with MSD or MDF, whatever, MSD, whatever you call that. It's not plywood, but it's like plywood. And I had 4 mil plastic the whole way around. That's where I came up with the open air model shop. So I was like, well, it's just you and the critters now. Why don't you move inside? So I brought everything in, started packing up, moved everything inside, and the living room is now my model work area. So I made a new workbench. If you see me looking down here, I'm reading from my notes. Since I was inside, I was like, well, you need a change. I made a new bench. The bench part of it is 32 inches high with 32.5-inch plywood covering. So 32.5-inch high, 30 inches across, and 72 wide. So it's a pretty big bench. I built a shelf that goes up. It's about 3 inches off the floor that connects to the legs, which is 18 inches wide by 72 inches long. And then I built a shelf up top where it's 22 inches high, 75 inches wide, and 12 inches deep. So it's a pretty nice workbench. I made a cap across the top too that is 10.5 inches wide by 75 inches wide, which is basically, I can use it for storage or a shelf, but it basically turned into a critter bed. That's where all the kitties lay while I'm at the bench. So, I mean, the workbench is a video of its own coming, so stay tuned for that. Just as I was getting comfortable with the separation deal, as I posted with my last video, my counter partner passed away midnight, and that took a toll on me hard. Honestly, I think that hit me worse than the separation did, because midnight was my partner, my best friend. I turned to her with everything, constantly together. Just old age caught up with her. She ended up having a tumor on her hip, and the vet said that it wasn't worth doing the surgery. At her age, there was too much risk involved. So he just made her comfortable. They gave me a pain medication for her, and we just dealt with it that way to keep her comfortable. Finally, she licked that tumor so bad that it pierced the skin and fell out. I couldn't believe it. It was so odd, but I just kept busy doing things. I made a vacuum chamber for, basically, I want to get into some resin casting. So the vacuum chamber is to the gas to silicone molding that I will make the molds out of. That's a video of its own coming. Watching videos, I never quit watching videos. I've been watching them, commenting on a few of them, because I watch on my Roku, and when I watch on the Roku, it's the TV, I can't comment for some reason. I haven't found that feature yet, but when I'm on my phone, I can comment. So if I was on my phone, I commented. If not, I couldn't comment. There was a couple series, let me find my notes here, that I really got comfortable watching that I feel are worth a mention in case you may not have seen them. It's Brett Green, aka Models by an Average Dude, does a beginner series where he builds models that a beginner standpoint would understand. That was really cool. And then we had Alex Modeling, of course, where he does a complete build review of the last kit he built, start to finish, including the painting and weathering process. That was really fun to watch. Will Pattinson, the owner of the Scale Modelers Critique Group, does a series. It's called 10 Minutes of Technique. That's worth a watch. And then Rambler69, aka Old Tom, he has a buddy from across the pond called Gaz Decay, where he restores glue bombs that are really hard to find models. Does a cutting job on those. Then, of course, we have John Moore with his daughter Abby that does the bum every Monday. It's called Bench Update Monday. That's worth a watch. Papa Dan's Models too, of course, with Caleb's Corner. Caleb does a lot of Gundam builds. I love watching them. Every Wednesday, my old buddy Fred Henry, aka what's his shop name? West York Rods and Customs, I believe it is. But he does Pappy Stew's his nickname. He does a series called What's on Your Bench. I swear to God, this guy watches more videos than anybody I've ever seen, because if you complete a build in the modeling community, he's going to feature it on his show, What's on Your Bench, on every Wednesday. I swear he's got like 36 hours in every 24-hour day. But basically, that's about it. Then, of course, we got Norm Lavoie and my two favorite army or military builders, Norm LaJoy, I guess it's pronounced, and Mark O'Neill, who I basically look to as one of my mentors for building armor. You know, their builds are cutting too. Now, since I'm inside now, I want to do a shop name change, and everybody knows I'm a Penn State diehard, so I want to keep PSU in my shop name, but I'm having problems coming up with the rest of it, so I wanted to turn to you guys up to comment in the comment section below like we did for the open air model shop. Comment your suggestions or opinions on what would go good with PSU regarding styrene models, and we'll narrow it down to like 2 or 3, and then let the community, bottling community, vote on it like we did for the open air model shop to come up with the new name. The best I could come up with is PSU Plastic Creations. So if you got anything to add to that, that'd be super. Miniatures, I've been dabbling in the miniatures a little bit, watching a lot of videos on those because I really like the way it's kind of like 2 hobbies in one, where you get to paint the miniatures and then play the game with the game that the miniatures represent. So I picked up some Warhammer 40K, and I also picked up a couple Blood Bowls because Tommy, aka Colonel Reb, and Papa Dan are into the Blood Bowl miniatures, where it's a fantasy football game. So I picked up an orc set that I'm going to use because we're going to do a buddy build where you paint them your favorite college team colors. And then I picked up a set that I could play with, the Reichland Ravers, which is a human team that I can actually paint up by the colors there should be and play the game. So they take a whole different creation of colors. So I was like, well, you have no paint. So I was searching online one day and found the Badger miniature line, which is right up my alley, being my bias to Ken and the Badger product. I got the whole 80 bottle set, which included the 12 ghost tints, an additional 3 bottles of clear coat, and a bottle of retarder for $175. So I couldn't pass that up. So we're going to get into the miniatures a little bit, and then I was like, we have nowhere to keep these, so I built a custom paint rack, which will be another video of its own. The paint rack is 31 3/4 inches wide by 66 inches tall, and it has a total of 13 shelves that are 30 1/4 inches wide by 4 1/2 inches high and 3 3/4 inches deep. So I can fit 25 bottles of miniature Badger paints, 19 of Tamiya of the 23 milliliter bottles, 30 17 milliliter bottles of Vallejo Model Air, and 22 of the Guns Aqueous Hobby Color. So it pretty much holds all my paint now. I finally got a paint rack because Colonel Reb from Colonel Reb Scale Models was always complaining I was going to him for measurements. He's like, why do you need a rack for every brand of paint? Make one universal rack. So that's what I did. It's now called the Hottie Toddy. I'll show you in a separate video the Hottie Toddy paint rack I made. So that's where we stand. I'm into a current build. I wanted to do something easy, something to get the juices flowing. So I'm building the Tamiya 135th Panzer Camp Wagon for Ausf.D. I got everything built. I got the tools and the tires detail painted. It's just a matter of painting all the German gray, and then I'll do a video from finishing that, and then we're going to dabble into the miniatures some. So I'm happy to be back. Thanks for everybody for sticking with me. I came back to 610 subscribers, so I'm very surprised by that. I never thought I'd get 200, let alone 610. So from hitting the 600 mark, I'm going to be doing a giveaway here soon. So make sure you stay tuned for that, so you can comment, hey, I'm in, whatever, to get in the drawing for the free giveaway. So like to thank everybody that messaged to check on me, Papa Dan, Tommy. Really appreciate the support those two have given me the last year and a half. Sometimes if it wasn't for them, I'm not sure how I'd have twisted and turned. Papa Dan's always given me some tough love, good advice, and Tommy, you can just always count on him to be there, period. So thank everybody for tuning in. I'm a little over 10 minutes, Tommy. Sorry, buddy. And we'll catch everybody on the next video. So good to be back. Till then, for now, this is Hooterville 75. Checking out.